Hello, and welcome back to another art video. As you can see, we used the mechanical color pencil again, and it's the blue one to, draw a character. The character is one of my capsules. His name is Bully 18 out of 50. Back when I was doing the challenge of making, 50 capsules in a few months, and like 2022, 2023, and obviously it's like a little boxer, uh, possibly inspired by Mamemon from Digimon or Hitmonchan from Pokemon, or um, like the boxing robot from Metabots, all of that, and I went over it with a ink pen, and yeah, I messed up on the legs, and I felt when I did it, I felt that the pose wasn't very dynamic. But as you can see here, I'm using the blue pen to, or the blue mechanical pencil to do a sketch, and it's really hard to see. But spoiler alert: the sketch is from Pokemon X and Y, because I've been watching it on Tubi in the background, never seen it before, and it just put it on when I'm drawing. It's just something to have like a little like buffer of like noise. And one of the scenes that it got stuck on when I like turned off the computer and turned it back on was like James from Team Rocket doing like a pose, and I was like, let me just try to draw this pose with the pencil since I got it here, and let's see what it looks like, what what I can extract from the visual observation of what I'm seeing. And I did that to the best of my ability, and afterwards I realized that there are some things that I was a bit weak on, and primarily I want to say like the arm. I'm not so certain about the clothing as well. I felt like the clothing I wear, I wasn't able to capture the folds correctly, but the right arm is a bit lower than it is inside of the anime or the screenshot, and it is a little it's a little sad. But also, like, you can see that I'm also like kind of like trying to correct some of the blue pencil by using the marker or the brush pen in a way that is fixing a lot of those lines and whatnot. But I did not fix all of them. But I think that it is close enough to the point where if held in a lineup, somebody would be able to say like, oh, that looks like this screenshot. Like if the screenshot was on the screen, which I can't put up because I didn't take a photo, but the episode is like season 19, episode 11 or something like that. I forget. I think I write it down like later in the video, but the where I'm shading with the marker is the shadow that I saw in the anime. So I looked for like the darkest part, and I just colored in that from the anime, and that's essentially as far as I went with the James image. Like I didn't try to do too much. I just tried to capture essentially what I was seeing, or what I thought I was seeing, which is not not supposed to, don't draw what you think, draw what you see. And I just did what I thought a little bit, like what I thought was the darkest ones, not like so much like, oh, it's the darkest, but what to me looked like the darkest. I try to observe the darkest, and yeah, so like season 19, episode 5 or something like that. I'm not sure, but it is something to marvel at. And then we go to color Bully over here on the left-hand side, a capsule, little monsters that I, thought up, obviously in the vein of like Monster Rancher, Pokemon, Metabots, Digimon, fighting Foodons. Like, I forget what the name of it is in Japan for the Fighting Fudons, but just generally, like, Yokai Watch, like all of that drawn inspiration for our monster raising creatures and whatnot. And I really do love that genre. I mean, I don't want to really get too much on a rant about it because the genre is cooked due to the juggernaut known as Pokemon, but I don't really want to get into the logistics of why that is and how it's going to stay that way. It is not about legal things. If I had to like touch on why the monster raising genre is unhealthy, is not because of like legal stuff. It's not because of potentially legal ramifications of intellectual properties, but it's more so the financial aspect of the entities that swirl around that space. So regardless of if it were a legal precedent or a non-legal precedent, the main problem, and also don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy this video and this commentary, but the main problem is the financial epicenter of the ecosystem that it exists in. Now, when you look into all the media that the juggernauts have, all of that media, all those items are highly expensive. All those items are highly sought after. The nostalgic factor of a lot of these items are immense, and the profit margins of these items are immense on the secondhand market. A lot of these other entities don't really share that similar market in which they are essentially being used as some sort of like secondary currency, or being like held onto as if they are investments and not things to be played with by people. It creates this like toxic loop that infinitely just on goes. I mean, if you look at things like MetaZoo, how that got instantly usurped by the collector market, and then nobody wanted it, so then the value of it plummeted, and then now I guess people want it again, so the value's going up. Is a very like fickle thing, and to compete in the monster raising genre, you have to have media. In my opinion, you have to have media on all fronts. And when I say have media on all fronts, I mean you have to have like a constant barrage of things keeping you in the public mind's eye. And unfortunately, nobody will be able to capture that 90s media wave in which they had this like robust space, and it was a cultural phenomenon. I've met people who have played Pokemon back then, or even like Yu-Gi-Oh and whatnot, and these people were not really interested in like games or trading card games or anything like that, and they were a part of that, and that was a part of like their like developmental stages, their childhood, and to recapture that at this point is like pretty much almost impossible, because back then, you didn't really have much. You had the internet, it was still in its infancy. You didn't really have like, things were just happening, and you were along for the ride. Now it's like it's too sterilized, it's too corporate, it's too like out the gate they want to be important, and that makes it less impressive, and less it makes it less genuine. It makes it less it makes it harder to build a bond or a connection with these things, because you're not growing with them. They kind of just have grown up in a lab, and now they're in front of you, and they go whichever way the lab grows. The last time that we've seen this, and I guess only in Japan it was really happening, was Yokai Watch. But like in the West, it just didn't really catch on like that with a lot of these more other things. Stuff like Monsuno and things like that didn't really catch on. And it's just because you can't recapture that cultural aspect that happened in the past that was really like lucky, where it was so big that it was in everything. And that's just my my take, is that the media landscape has changed so much that it's really hard for them to get into that space. But thank you if you watched the video this far. Sorry, there's a lot of information to pack into such a tiny space, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you, and see you in the next one. Bye.